Hello, it's your furry Professor Kyra, and I have my human hands for this video. For no particular reason, it's just going to be a little bit easier to kind of talk about things and not have my paws on. My paws are actually like just sitting here, so ooh, spooky. Alright, so I've seen this question appear a lot, and I've seen a bunch of different fursuiters answer it very differently, and I actually love it because I feel like the more answers you have for this specific topic, the better. And that is, how do you travel with a fursuit? More specifically, how do you fly with a fursuit? Coming from somebody who has flown many times with fursuits, it can be very difficult, especially if you've never done it before. My very first time flying with a fursuit was to MFF in 2022, and I was mortified because I did not know that foam heads could be squished and they'd be fine. Obviously, I know that now. I didn't then, so I was like, I just destroyed my fursuit. What am I going to do? I'm going to a convention. I need my fursuit. It'll be fine. So, what do I do when I travel? So, what I do now, which I've realized is like the most efficient, especially with a Kyra. So, we'll use a Kyra. A Kyra has very massive ears. And let me tell you, it has been one of the hardest things to kind of mess around with different things for, to get it to work in terms of putting her in a bag. A lot of people will use, fursuit head bags and stuff. Well, I don't have one for her, and it's also very difficult because her ears extend past a lot of like the dimensions for flying. So it's just very hard for me to fly with her because her ears are so massive. What I have found that works best for me is I actually have a regular, big luggage bag. It's on like the harder side, which I highly recommend. If you're going to put your fursuit in any kind of checked bag, make sure that the bag is hard, or especially around the edge. It will create a nice shell for your fursuit head, because unfortunately, sometimes your fursuits will break. I have had so many, oh my god, I have had so many times where I broke a fursuit head because I was traveling and I put them in a soft bag and they broke. I have broke a particular fursuit of mine, I think 3 times flying because I'm dumb. But it's okay. I have learned, and now I can pass the good learning experiences to other people so they don't have to make the same unfortunate mistakes as I have. So, hard check bag, especially if you have a suit like mine, big ears, or just very large. It's going to be very hard to have it as a carry-on or a personal item. If you have a foam fursuit head, I promise, for the most part, the foam will be fine if it is a little bit bent or misshapen for a little bit of time. When I fly, I'm flying anywhere from 4.5 to 5 hours at a time, not accounting for the hours that I have to spend traveling to an airport, because I don't live very close to an airport, and the time before that when I packed the suit. I promise in those maybe 10 hours, your fursuit will be just fine. Now, the only times it really wouldn't be is if you left your suit in your car in the middle of summer with the windows closed. Maybe then the foam won't be so good. Now, check bag, fursuit, foam will be fine. What I like to do though is try to keep, especially, I want to kind of focus, I'm talking about a head right now, I should probably say that. Your other fursuit parts are fine. They can withstand everything pretty much. Heads are the most important, and I know for a lot of people the head is the most important part because it is your, your fursuit's pretty face. What I prefer doing is in my check bag, I will create a hole with whatever else I'm bringing, whether it's clothes, whether it's outfits for my fursuit, whatever it may be, soft items around the outside, stuff that won't break. Like I said, I recommend clothes, your other fursuit parts, your tail, your paws, even your bodysuit if you can make it work, and put it in a circle. And then if your character see, Akira's not a good example because she doesn't have a long snout, but she has enough of a snout that what I do is I make a nice little deep pocket to rest her snout into, so she lays flat with all of my other luggage in the checked bag. Now her ears, I kind of like fold a little bit down under where the zipper is. That's the only part of her that's folded. And then like the back of her head is foam, so I squish it a little bit and I decompress the bag. If your airline will let you keep your checked bag uncompressed, please do it. It will kind of relieve the pressure on your fursuit head for that period of time. But even if they have to have you compress it, which if you don't know what I mean, it's when there's like a second set of zippers on these bigger luggage bags. You unzip them, it will give you like another inch. I haven't come into a situation where they won't let you have that, especially if you're checking the bag. I have had it before when I had a carry-on that did the same thing. So, you have your check bag that doesn't, and then they'll have like a little carry-on bag that sometimes will match your checked bag that also has the decompression. I made an unfortunate discovery where the one airline that I went on coming home from a con didn't let you have it decompress. They wanted to compress to save space. Well, in that process, I had put my more fragile fursuit head in there because I was like, well, if it's with me, it'll be more protected, and it was fine because it was decompressed. Well, they wanted me to compress it, and long story short, unfortunately, the fursuit head broke. So that's why, like, I don't recommend it as a carry-on item, but I can understand if you want your baby to be with you. If you can fit your head in the same process that I just explained, where you kind of like make the little hole or whatever, middle of the bag, whatever, by all means, because I feel like if it's a carry-on bag and you can get away with all that, it'll be fine over in the overhead little thing. If you can get your head in a backpack and it won't be over the size of a personal item, do that, because it's right there at your feet. But say you can't. Say you have a head like Akira. I highly recommend check bag. Put your head's face, like the middle of the face, in the center. You kind of want your head to be as far away from potential impact as possible. That's kind of what I've realized. One thing that did save the suit head that keeps breaking is I had brought, I believe, 3 of my 4 suits to a con, and what I had did was, and they fit in the same check bag that I now use specifically for Akira. I had one head on one side, one on the other. They were kind of like opposing. The fragile head I shoved in between them. Head was perfectly safe and perfectly fine because it was basically like putting a piece of glass around foam, and it protected it. I don't like doing that. I personally don't recommend like cramming 2 heads together if you're bringing multiple suits. If you have the money, just check them in their own bag. I realize I've had to do that, and also because I worry way too much about my fursuits in the sense of like I don't want to ruin them. I would just do that. And sometimes when you check multiple bags, it gets a little cheaper. But if you don't want to do that, absolutely put them together. Conserve as much space as possible. Traveling can be very rough as it is, and worrying about your fursuit is just going to add to the stress. My biggest thing, besides the protection of your head or whatever, put some kind of locating device inside the bag that has your fursuit. Now, I personally have not had any issues with a bag missing that had a fursuit in it, but I have unfortunately seen a lot of people have a bag go missing. I use AirTags because I use iPhone, but Tile is another good one. Put one of those little motherfuckers in your bag because you can see it. Because if they have, a tracker for your bags and it says, oh, it's on the plane, But no, it's not. It's still at the airport. Guess what? You'll be able to see. Those things are usually not very expensive. My Apple tag was like $25 when I bought it. They usually can come in like a pack of 4. I highly recommend those. I'm not endorsing products here, but I do highly recommend them because you'll get those notifications if it was left behind or whatever. I also keep them in there for when I'm simply just traveling with my fursuit or I'm going to a convention. I have those things. And I could do you one better. Not necessarily related to, you know, bags and stuff, but I have seen people put those little tracking things in the head itself. So if your head goes walking outside of your bag, you'll be able to find it. Now, those are just my personal traveling tips. I have seen so many different people travel so many different ways. I've seen people use Pelican cases, which I've wanted to get one of those, but Pelican cases are very expensive. And if you can get one, power to you, because they are fantastic. That's what I want to get for traveling, because they do have travel size cases, because those things are indestructible. And I know if I put any of my suits in there, nothing will happen to them. Again, not product endorsing. I just happen to know a bunch of different fursuiters who have Pelican cases, and they always say that they're fantastic. And they have a surface you can put stickers on. Putting stickers on regular luggage is unfortunately very difficult. I know, because I tried to put stickers on mine to make it a little more standouty, but it's kind of hard. It's only on like the wheels. So these are my personal tips. These are what have worked for me. Not what everything that works for me may work for you, but I do want to share personal experiences that work for me because they can work for you. Maybe they don't, but I feel like real life experiences are the best way to teach people. That goes for anything. And if you watch any of my content over on TikTok or here, you'll know that I share personal experiences with fursuiting and mascotting all the time, because I feel like real life is the best way to teach people anything. So if you ever have any questions about anything related to fursuiting, mascotting, whatever, ask. I'm always here to answer questions and stuff. But yeah, so if you're going to a con soon or you're just traveling and you want to bring your fursuit, I hope this information helps you, because trust me, I get it. Traveling with a fursuit is stressful. But I hope this makes it a little more easier for you. Bye-bye.